So I put a patch, slept with it. The next day, woke up and I was like, okay, the bump is almost gone, but now I have 2 black eyes. So that was tragic. But I mean, it's at this point, it's unfortunately won't be able to hide it. People know, so just rolling with it.
You're on a Zoom call. The person across from you has 2 black eyes and they're smiling. Hull tells you with that sunny optimism, "We're almost there. I keep telling people I looked worse than I felt." That's Lexie Hull, and if you don't know her name yet, you're about to understand why she's one of the most important players in the WNBA right now. September 2025, the Indiana Fever are pushing for the playoffs. Lexie Hull crashes headfirst into Seattle Storm's Gabby Williams. This wasn't her first injury that week. 1 game earlier, she'd taken an elbow to the face against the Minnesota Lynx. A week later, bloody lip against the Chicago Sky. No foul called. When asked if she would have sat out to heal, Hull was clear. "I have played through a lot worse than that, so I don't think I would have taken the game off even if we had a fully healthy team. I think I'd still want to be like, put me out there." Those black eyes became a symbol of the Fever's entire season, getting knocked down over and over, but refusing to stay down. If you want to understand what's really happening in women's basketball right now, you need to understand Lexie Hull's story. If this gets you fired up, hit that subscribe button. We're diving deep. Rewind to 2022. Lexie Hull enters the WNBA after winning at Stanford University with her twin sister Lacey. College was comfortable. The WNBA, different beast entirely. Hull describes those early years with brutal honesty, saying, "There were times when I started that it was like, if I shoot, it needs to go in because otherwise I might get benched or I might get cut." There's real nerves there in the first couple years where I'm playing on a losing team. We're not doing well. We are not making playoffs. Every little thing matters. Think about that pressure. Every time you touch the ball, you're not thinking about the game. You're thinking about survival. When you're playing scared in professional sports, you're already losing. The Fever weren't just losing games, they were struggling to find their identity. Hull was missing her sister, missing the resources college provided, and worst of all, losing confidence in herself. She went from champion at Stanford to questioning whether she even belonged in the league. Then 24 happened, Caitlin Clark arrived. Clark broke assist records, brought sold-out crowds to Gainbridge Fieldhouse, and put women's basketball on a new level of mainstream attention. But what most people miss is what she did for players like Lexie Hull. By the 2024 All-Star break, something clicked. Hull explained her new mindset. "I know I'm going to get open shots. I don't need to be worried about whether they go in or they don't, because I've put in the work to set myself up for this, and I'll live with the outcome." I'll live with the outcome. That's not just confidence, that's freedom. When you have a generational talent like Clark drawing defensive attention and creating opportunities, you finally have space to breathe, space to remember why you love the game. Hull went from paralyzed by fear to free to play her game. That transformation made everything that came next possible.
What part of it was the most nerve-wracking in terms of like picking up the ball or what side to start on or those?
All of it. I was like trying to figure out whether to pull from the left, pull from the right, like where to put the money ball rack, which side to start. There's so many choices. I didn't even know that you had all these choices. So I think more than anything, it's like it's over so fast. So you really only have one chance. If you have a tough start, I had a tough start. You know, it's hard to get back into it, but again, it's so fun. I would do it again for sure.
Speaking of that All-Star weekend, Hull got called up for the three-point contest with less than 24 hours notice after Clark had to bow out due to injury. She remembers the chaos. It was officially official at 11 p.m. on the night before. I hadn't practiced, wasn't planning on touching a basketball that whole weekend. She missed every shot off her first rack except the money ball, but picked up enough steam to earn 20 points, just 2 points shy of tying Kelsey Plum's first round score. Most people would have been embarrassed. Hull saw it as another chance to adjust, another opportunity to show up when called. But just when things were clicking, the universe tested exactly how much the Fever could handle. Let's talk about what the 2025 season actually looked like, because this is where Hull's story becomes legendary. It started with DeWanna Bonner, legendary veteran, 2-time championship winner, exactly the kind of leader a young team needs. Hull recalls her initial excitement. "I was super excited because finally there's a player in my position that I can look up to that has won in the league and has all these accomplishments and knows what it takes, and I can learn something from her." Then Bonner left. Abruptly, near the start of the season, Hull describes the confusion and then she randomly leaves, and we're all just kind of like, what happened? Like, we were never given an explanation. You're building chemistry, building trust, and your veteran leader walks away without explanation. That alone could destroy a team's morale. But that was just the beginning. Then came the injuries, a complete avalanche of season-ending injuries. Caitlin Clark, Sydney Colson, Ari McDonald, Sophie Cunningham, one after another until the Fever's roster hit 16 players because they had to keep signing emergency hardship contracts just to field a team. Most teams would have folded, most teams would have used that as an excuse. Not the Fever, not Lexie Hull. Her face became the story. Those black eyes, that bloody lip, they showed what the entire team was experiencing. You know, taking hits, getting knocked down, getting back up, fighting when it seemed pointless. Instead of letting Bonner's departure divide them, instead of letting injuries become excuses, the Fever used it as fuel. Hull captures the team's resolve perfectly. To have no explanation was really challenging, but I think that helped us grow closer together because we're like, all right, this is us. We're here. We're going to support each other. We're loving each other. We're going to fight for each other. We're not going to leave. We're in this together. This decimated, injury-riddled roster clawed their way to the semifinals. They pushed the Las Vegas Aces, one of the league's powerhouse teams, into overtime in Game 5. The entire WNBA was shocked. The Fever had no business being that competitive. When you decide that whoever's on your team is who you fight for, impossibilities start looking possible. Lexie Hull has a completely unique perspective in the WNBA. She's the only player who's worn the same jersey as both Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, the two most polarizing high-profile players in the league. Clark on the Fever, Reese on the unrivaled team where Hull won the inaugural championship. If you've spent any time on basketball social media, you know these fan bases can get toxic. But Hull sees something different. Yeah, she shares her perspective. You know, playing with both of those players, playing with every player, everyone's a good person. You know, I think that's what fans don't see all the time, that these people aren't just cussing at the refs, pushing people down. That's not who they are off the court, and people need to know that. She's not naive about rivalry. She knows it exists. Hull acknowledges the reality. I think there is a level of jealousy when it comes to the Fever, just because of the media attention and the fans that have shown up for us ever since Caitlin got here. We've heard people and players and teams talking in their locker room about, we can't let the Fever win. But she doesn't see that as negative. Hull explains her take. If you have extra motivation to beat us because of something out of our control, that's fine. If that's what it takes for you guys to come and try extra hard, I think a little bit of that is needed across the league. Everyone should feel like they're getting everyone else's best, and I do feel like we get everyone else's best. That's maturity. That's understanding that rivalries can make everyone better without tearing people down. Hull admits she can't always avoid reading comments or taking hate to heart, but she's clear about where the line is. Like, I think that you can be supportive of people, and I think you can have your favorite players, but I don't think there's room to degrade people or speak in a way that is disrespectful. Like, that's over the line. She's also the Fever's alternate player rep for the Women's National Basketball Players Association, fighting for fair pay and better resources. Hull believes in unity despite competition. You can be part of something and everyone not like each other. We can support each other while also having rivalries. You can compete hard. You can want to win desperately. But when the game ends, you recognize you're all fighting for the same bigger cause, making women's basketball better, more sustainable, more respected. That nuance gets lost in social media battles. That perspective only comes from someone who's been in the trenches, who's played through black eyes and bloody lips, who's watched her team rally after devastating losses. At the end of the day, this is what Hull means when she calls herself ride or die. I will put my body on the line, and I will try everything. I will stand up for whoever. As competitors, that's just what you do when you show up. Whoever's on your side of the line, that's who you fight for. So why does Lexie Hull's story matter? In an era where loyalty seems outdated, where social media turns teammates into rivals and fans into enemies, Hull represents something we need: the willingness to stay and fight for the people beside you. Her change from fearful player worried about getting cut to confident fighter willing to play through black eyes isn't just about basketball development. It's about finding your purpose beyond individual success. When Bonner left, when injuries mounted, when every logical reason to give up appeared, Hull and her teammates chose, this is us. We're not leaving. We're in this together. That mindset took them further than anyone predicted. That mindset pushed a championship team to overtime. That mindset is changing an entire franchise's culture. But Hull's impact goes beyond Indianapolis. As someone who bridges polarized fan bases, who advocates for league-wide improvements while competing hard, who understands you can support each other while maintaining rivalries, she's showing what women's basketball's future needs to look like. The WNBA is at a turning point. Record attention, record growth, but also record toxicity and division among fans. Players like Hull, who refuse to participate in negativity while acknowledging it exists, who compete with everything while recognizing humanity in opponents, these players will determine whether this moment becomes lasting change or just temporary hype. When Hull says about her opponents, everyone's a good person, despite on-court battles, when she draws a clear line between supporting favorites and degrading others, when she commits to putting her body on the line for whoever wears her jersey, she's not being soft. She's being strategic. She knows the real opponent isn't other teams. It's the systemic issues that underpay women athletes, that provide inferior resources, that treat women's sports as secondary. That's why she fights as a player rep. That's why she refuses to let fan toxicity define the narrative. That's why her loyalty runs deeper than basketball. Hull's black eyes have healed, but the fighter behind that smile, she's not going anywhere. And the Fever, despite everything they faced, aren't going anywhere either. When you find people worth fighting for, when you commit to showing up no matter what, when you refuse to let circumstances define your resolve, that's when you stop playing to survive and start playing to change everything around you. If this story hit you, share this video with someone going through their own tough season, someone who needs reminding that loyalty, toughness, and refusing to quit can beat impossible odds. Hit that like button, subscribe for more stories about athletes changing sports culture, and drop a comment. Who's your ride or die player? Who inspires you to keep fighting when everything's falling apart? Lexie Hull showed up with black eyes and a bloody lip because that's what leaders do. She reminded us what it really means to be ride or die.